Contraception is basically any method or any medication we use to have family planning, to space birth, to delay birth. That is how we define contraception. So the methods to prevent pregnancy is known as contraceptives. What are the indications? Indications is what? Basically spacing of the childbirth, to limit the family size, as well as give the couple time to plan the pregnancy, as well as to control the population. What you call as to control the birth rate. So now what are the methods? So anybody from the knowledge of community medicine only, can you say what are the methods? Whatever gross idea you have about contraception, what are the different methods of contraception? Anyone? See, the class has to be interactive, right? I cannot just keep on saying, that won't be of any use. Any gross idea you have, you can tell me. Then we will explain the every methods in details. Whatever idea you have. Yeah, we can divide the methods as temporary contraceptive methods as well as permanent contraceptions. What are the temporary contraceptions then? Okay. So for the temporary methods, we said it is not temporary methods, we said these are the reversible methods. One is reversible, one is permanent. So for the permanent, that is a separate thing. For the temporary methods or the reversible methods, we have what? Barrier methods, as well as the oral pills, like, or the mechanical methods and the oral pills. Like that we divide. So as we can see, these are the natural methods of contraception. What are the natural methods of contraception? That is abstinence. Another is what? Withdrawal method. And what are the mechanical methods? Mechanical method or the barrier methods, these are use of male condoms or the female condoms or the female cervical caps or female diaphragms. These are the mechanicals or the barrier methods of contraception. So for reversible methods, we got what? Natural methods of contraception and barrier or the mechanical methods of contraception. Then we have intrauterine devices. Now intrauterine devices can be of two types grossly. One is the inert materials, that is the lipase loop. Another is hormonal methods, non-hormonal methods. What are the non-hormonal methods? Copper containing devices, that is copper containing intrauterine devices, IUCD. Another can be hormonal methods, that is Mirena. And then we have the permanent methods. These are the permanent methods, that is the surgical methods. What are these? Tubectomy and vasectomy. And how to know whether which contraception is the most ideal, and how do you measure the efficacy of this contraception? By this Pearl index or this failure rate. How to calculate this failure rate? It is a number of pregnancies divided by the number of users into 1200. It is calculated 100 woman years. This is known as the Pearl index. Now coming to the hormonal contraceptives. Now hormonal contraceptives again can be divided into what? Combined oral contraceptives as well as progesterone only contraceptives. Now combined oral contraceptives contains what? Estrogen and progesterone. Now we divide this into like low dose containing estrogen pills. What are these low dose containing estrogen pills? Estrogen can be of 30 micrograms, it can be of 20 micrograms. The more lower the estrogen, more is the efficacy as well as less is the side effects. Because if you, as we go on increasing the dosage of estrogen from 20 to 25 to 30, 35 up to 50, then what happens? The side effects also keeps on increasing. So that's why we prefer those oral contraceptive pills, those who have less amount of estrogen, that is 20 to 30 micrograms per tablet along with a progesterone. And how we give these estrogen and progesterone pills? Exactly. In case of this government supply, we have Mala-N. So in Mala-N, what we have is ethanyl estradiol and levonorgestrel. We have this combination. This comes in a combi pack. It comes in 21 tablets of estrogen and progesterone and 7 tablets of iron tablets. So we, as a patient, you have to complete pills like this, 21 tablets and 7 tablets of iron. This is how we ask the patient to do. But once the patient comes to you and asks you when to start the tablet, now how will you advise the patient when to start the oral contraceptive pill? Yes, it is said that combined oral contraceptive pills which contains estrogen and progesterone can be started on day 1 of the menstruation when she is bleeding, from day 1 to day 5 safely without using any other additional backup method of contraception. Why? Because the chances of getting pregnant with day 1 to day 5 is very less. So that is why we say it can be started on day 1 to day 5 of the menstruation without any additional method of contraception, and it gives 100% protection from pregnancy from day 1 itself. After day 5, when you are starting the contraception, like using oral contraceptive pills, you have to make sure that she did not have any unprotected intercourse prior and UPT is negative, that is urinary pregnancy test is negative, and give her additional 7 days of a backup method, like any, that can be barrier method, that can be usage of condom for additional 7 days till the contraceptive pills are acting. It is said that ovulation inhibition caused by these OCPs takes minimum 7 days, like 7 continuous pills you take from Monday to next Sunday you take, and then your ovulation is inhibited. That is why if you are starting the pills after day 5 of your menstruation, then you have to take a backup method for 7 days. So anyone can summarize whatever we have taught now for OCPs? Composition, what it contains? Combined oral contraceptive pills, levonorgestrel and ethynyl estradiol. Lower the dose, lower is the side effect. What are the doses it can be given? From 30 microgram, 20 microgram to 30 microgram, and can be increased up to 50 microgram. But preferably in government supply, we give 30 micrograms of ethynyl estradiol along with levonorgestrel. This is the basic composition. Now coming to mechanism of action. What we learned about mechanism of action? It acts by inhibiting the ovulation. It takes minimum 7 days of continuous pill intake for inhibition of this ovulation to occur. Okay, another mechanism of action is thickening of the cervical mucosa so that the sperm cannot penetrate. Another mechanism of action is it makes the endometrium hostile so that implantation cannot occur. So these are the 3 mechanisms. Main mechanism is inhibition of ovulation. So now the patient asks you when we can start the OCPs. What will you advise? How to start the OCPs? Day 1 to day 5 of the menstruation, then you can be protected from the pregnancy from day 1 itself. But if you are starting it from day 5 onwards, anytime during your menstrual cycle, then use additional backup for 7 days and check whether the UPT is negative or not. So now what are the contraindications of this thing? Oral contraceptive pills, what are the contraindications for oral contraceptive pills? What are the conditions where you won't give OCPs? Anyone who is having cardiovascular disease, thromboembolism, yes, diabetes, but it is said diabetes with vascular complications. Hypertensive patients also we do not give when the hypertension is uncontrolled. So the thing is, those who are having thromboembolism, those who are having cardiovascular disease, specifically ischemic cardiac disease, those who are having uncontrolled hypertension, those who are having diabetes with vasculopathy. The entire sentence is diabetes with vasculopathy. Those who are having migraine with aura, active breast cancer, hepatocellular disease. So these are the patients you won't give, and lactating pregnant mothers. Why? Because it has negative effects on the breast milk production. That's why even if we have to give, we prefer to give COCPs after 6 months. That is, the exclusive breastfeeding period is over and then we are starting the COCPs. So this is how we give COCPs. Once the patient is coming to you, you have to check for the risk profile, that whether this is coming under any contraindication or not. and check, okay fine, there is no contraindication, we can easily give this COCPs. And what are the other benefits of COCPs? Like except for contraception, what are the additional benefits or what are the other conditions where you can use COCPs? Not as a contraceptives but for other purposes. Where? Yes, polycystic ovarian disease, one. Okay, fibroids, endometriosis. The gross heading for fibroids and PCOS, the gross heading will be any kind of menstrual irregularities for regularization of the menstrual cycle. Yes, it acts as a protective factor for ovarian cancer as well as endometrial carcinoma, and to some extent protective factor for colorectal CA as well. Yes, heavy premenstrual syndrome. So, what are the additional benefits we gave? For additional benefits, we have regularization of the menstrual cycle in case of AUBL, that is in case of fibroids, in case of polycystic ovarian disease, in case of premenstrual syndrome, in case of endometriosis, and as a protective factor for colorectal CA, endometrial CA, and what are the disadvantages of COCPs? It does not give protection against the sexually transmitted diseases. In case of condom, what was there? It was acting as a barrier method, right? So, it used to protect it from sexually transmitted diseases, but for COCPs, it does not protect against sexually transmitted diseases. So, now what we have is, another thing is progesterone only contraceptive. Now, progesterone only contraceptive can be given as per oral, that is progesterone only pills, that can be given as parenteral route, that is IM injections. In case of IM injections, we have what? DMPA and this, and we can use it as implants, we can use it as intrauterine devices as well as other methods. So, for POP, that is progesterone only contraceptives, what we use is, these are the different generations of progesterone. This is first generation, second generation, third generation, and these are the fourth generation. Fourth generation has anti-androgenic properties, that is why they are very much preferred to match the different clinical scenarios. Like first generation, second generation progesterone, non-ethiosterone or levonorgestrel are used in combination with estrogen for the COCPs. And this drospirenone and cyproterone acetate, these two things are fourth generation progesterone. They are preferred in those candidates, those who have signs and symptoms of hyperandrogenism. In which disease we have signs and symptoms of hyperandrogenism? PCOD. So, the patients who are having premenstrual symptom, we give drospirenone as a contraceptive pill as well as a treatment method for regularization of the menstrual cycle as well as premenstrual syndrome relief. And those who are having hyperandrogenism, signs and symptoms of hirsutism, in those patients we prefer cyproterone acetates. That is why we have written different generation of progesterones are used to match different clinical scenarios. So, in exam you will be asked about the different generation of progesterones. So, you have to know at least one example of each generation of progesterone. So, first generation progesterone is norgestrel, second generation is levonorgestrel, third generation is desodestrel, and fourth generation progesterone are drospirenone and cyproterone acetate. Drospirenone is specifically used in premenstrual syndrome as well as in case of PCOS, and cyproterone acetate is specifically used in those patients where hirsutism is much more evident. And coming to now this injectable progesterone only contraceptive, these are given as IM injection. DMPA comes under government policy named as Antara. In Antara program, how we give DMPA? (150 mg of intramuscular injection is given every total 3 doses every 4 monthly. So, DMPA every 3 monthly, total 4 doses is given as IM injection, and this thing is given as 200 mg IM every 2 monthly. And what is the most common side effects of this DMPA is breakthrough bleeding. Often the patient, what happens, the patient takes the injection and she often comes with a complaint of the I am having bleeding suddenly. Sudden spotting PV occurs with this DMPA. And prolonged use of DMPA can lead to what? Increase in weight gain and bone mineral density reduction. That's why for a long period of time we do not prefer to give DMPA. This is the two side effects of DMPA is amenorrhea and breakthrough bleeding. Often we don't counsel the patients, often it is missed out that we have not explained the patient that after 2 to 3 injections of DMPA, your periods will be stopped. Because the progesterone acts on the endometrium and endometrium becomes atrophic. As a result of what? There is no menstruation. And one fine day she starts having breakthrough bleeding. Often the atrophic endometrium starts bleeding now. So there will be spotting PV. So these are the two very much significant complaints the patient complains of is amenorrhea and breakthrough bleeding. Now what are the side effects? Side effects are, there can be cholestatic jaundice, there can be thromboembolism, there can be high blood pressure, salt and water reduction, there is a risk of breast carcinoma that increases 1.2%. They may suppress the breast milk production and there is weight gain for 2 to 3 kg as well. That is why long term oral contraceptive pill or as progesterone only pills are also not preferred. These are the complications as a whole. Now what we were talking about this contraindications, what are indicated, who are this category, how do we classify them? We classified them according to the WHO MEC criteria, that is the medical eligibility criteria. What is this? If the patient has no risk, there is, she falls under this category, that is no risk category, that is MEC 1. If we see, okay fine, the benefit part is much more than that of the risk factors. Suppose she is having migraine, fine, but she needs the contraceptive more. That is, the benefit part is more than that of our contraindication, because what we read is in case of COCPs, migraine with aura is the contraindication. So now the patient comes under this category, benefit outweighs the risk factors. Now we see the risk is more than the benefit part, because suppose she is a patient of breast cancer, but she needs contraception and now you are prescribing her OCPs. So she will come under this, na, the risk is more, the risk of developing breast cancer is more for her. So this is the risk is more than benefit, this she comes under the category of WHO MEC 3. Now category 4 where you should not give, that is absolutely contraindicated, that is cholestatic jaundice is there, she is having active thromboembolism, the leg veins are swollen and she is having thromboembolic diseases and she had a breast cancer or she is having breast cancer per se. So she comes under category 4 and latent diabetes. And these are the advantages of protective factors of COCPs, as we discussed, that it protects against the endometrial cancer, fibrocystic disease of breast and reduces the incidence of ovarian cancer. IUCDs, we have discussed that IUCDs are of 3 types: inert, that Lippes loop, copper containing devices, levonorgestrel, and levonorgestrel contains what? Levonorgestrel contains 52 mg total. Levonorgestrel is an intrauterine device which contains 52 mg total of progesterone and it releases 20 mcg per day. And why it is known as intrauterine system? We say LNG, IUS or Mirena. Why we say intrauterine system? Because whatever effects it has only on the endometrium and the reproductive organs per se. It does not have any systemic side effects. It cannot cause thromboembolism. It does not cause breast CA. Whatever side effects we were reading about this POPs or COCPs, it does not have any side effects. It only acts locally to prevent the this fertilization or implantation. Mirena mechanism of action is thickening of the cervical mucosa so that the sperm cannot enter the uterine cavity, and it is made radio opaque by use of barium inside the stem. So these are the images: copper T, this is copper T, this is multi-low 375, this is copper T 380A and this is the levonorgestrel I was talking about. This is the Mirena or levonorgestrel. This steam contains 50 mg of levonorgestrel and releases 25 mcj per day, and it can be kept up till 5 years, and after that you have to change. So, for 5 years this is kept there and the patient does not need to do anything. She completely can forget everything and lead her own life. So, that is why this thing comes under what? This comes under long acting contraceptive methods, LARC. So, what are the different types of long acting reversible contraceptives? One is DMPA. Every 3 monthly you have to give it. You don't have to take the pills. You don't have to remember that, okay fine, I have to take the pill. I have to remember having this pill and everything. So, DMPA can be a long acting contraceptive, implants can be a long active contraception, and another long active contraception is levonorgestrel intrauterine system or this copper T. Once you insert it, you forget about the device, it is there, you have to check the threads and nothing else. It does not depend upon the oral intake, or it does not depend upon these things also, any drug interaction, it does not have any drug interaction. For OCPs, what happens? In case of OCPs, if you are having antibiotics, suppose ampicillin, amoxicillin or doxycycline, those are the common antibiotics if you are having. These are what? These are drug inducers. What it causes? It causes further metabolization of this COCPs. So, your contraceptive efficacy decreases. Suppose the patient is having epilepsy and you have prescribed 30 mcg of ethinyl estradiol along with progesterone contraceptive pill. Now, what happened? This lamotrigine, this anti-epileptic drug, will induce the liver enzymes and causes fast pass metabolism as well as further degradation of this COCPs, as well as what happens is contraceptive efficacy decreases. So, there is high chances of contraception failure. So, in that case what we have to give is high doses of estrogen containing pills. So, that will increase the further side effects. So, that is why safest method comes with levonorgestrel intrauterine system, because it acts locally without any drug interaction as well as without any systemic side effects. For POPs, what were the methods? Progesterone only pills. Progesterone only pills were first generation, second generation, third generation and fourth generation. First generation example, second generation levonorgestrel, third generation desogestrel, fourth generation drospirenol and cyproterone acetate. Drospirenol, in what conditions we were using drospirenol? PCOD and premenstrual symptoms. And cyproterone acetate in case of hyperandrogenism like hirsutism. So, these are the oral methods, and for progesterone what are the injectable methods? That is the parenteral route, IM. IM, what were we given? DMPA, it comes under government program called Antara. In case of Antara, how do we give it? 150 mg IM every 3 months, 4 doses every 3 months. DMPA has 4 letters, so 4 doses. This is how you can remember. And Netem, that is 200 mg IM every 2 monthly. And what are its side effects? Breakthrough bleeding, spotting privy, or we can say unscheduled bleeding and amenorrhea. And what are other methods? That is implants. Implants can be Norplant 1, Norplant 2 and Nexplanon. All of these contains levonorgestrel. What is the hormone containing in Norplant 1 and Norplant 2 is levonorgestrel. And in case of Nexplanon, it contains desogestrel. So, all this DMPA, implants and intrauterine system comes under what? Comes under long acting reversible contraceptive method. So, this is how we classify. So, this is the mechanism of action of copper intrauterine devices. How copper T acts? Main method is copper ion acts as a foreign material, and it acts as a foreign material and leads to what? Inflammatory response, and foreign body response leads to what? Endometrial hostility. As the endometrium becomes hostile, what happens? It prevents the implantation and causes implantation failure. That's why even when the fertilization has occurred, then also we can use copper T as an emergency contraceptive method up to 5 days of unprotected sexual intercourse, just because it acts by implantation failure. That's why we can use copper T as an emergency contraceptive method up to 5 days of unprotected sexual intercourse. As well as other methods of mechanism of action is copper T is toxic to the sperms, and Mirena causes progesterone release, causes the endometrium to become unfavorable, as well as causes cervical mucosal thickening. But it cannot prevent ectopic pregnancies, and the failure rate is 2 to 3 plus 100 woman years. What are the complications? Infection can occur while inserting the copper T or Mirena if proper aseptic care is not maintained. Menstrual problem can be there, can be heavy menstrual bleeding or dysmenorrhea. There can be expulsion, there can be perforation, and the copper T can reach the peritoneal cavity. So, what are the complications of copper T? There can be heavy bleeding, there can be dysmenorrhea, there can be pain, there can be expulsion, there can be perforation. So, what are the timings of insertion of PPIUCD? What is PPIUCD? PPIUCD is postpartum intrauterine contraceptive device insertion or copper device insertion. What are the timings for insertion of this? One is immediately at the time of cesarean section. Once the baby is delivered, once the placenta is delivered, you insert the copper T and suture the entire uterus and find done. In case of normal delivery, once the placenta is out, within 10 minutes of delivery of the placenta, you can insert the copper T. This is post placental. Then we can insert copper T after that also within 48 hours of delivery of the baby. That is postpartum intrauterine, that is PPIUCD, that is within 48 hours. If not done within 48 hours, then we can do after 4 to 6 weeks. And if the patient comes to you after an unprotected sexual intercourse, then as an emergency contraception, we can use it up to 5 days. As well as we can give copper T normally as well when the patient comes after menstruation. Like we say, after 2 to 3 days of our menstruation, we ask her to come, so that at that point of time the os is already dilated and the lower part of the cervix is soft. We can easily insert the copper T for that matter. What are the contraindications of copper T? When you will not give copper T? In case of active genital infections like active genital TB or sexually transmitted diseases or any other PID which is active, currently the disease is there. Undiagnosed vaginal bleeding, early pregnancy or the pregnancy has not yet been confirmed or she is pregnant, heavy bleeding, any other causes. In case of any other uterine malformation such as there is a huge uterine fibroid that is distorting the entire endometrial cavity. So, where will you insert the copper T? In that case also you cannot give intrauterine devices. In case of Mirena, another contraindications are there because it is releasing progesterone. So, hormonal part is there. So, active breast cancer, hepatocellular carcinoma or hepatocellular jaundice, cholestatic jaundice. So, we cannot give Mirena over there. In case of copper, specific contraindication is in case of Wilson's disease, we cannot give copper containing things. In case of any pelvic tumor, cervical carcinoma, endometrial carcinoma, where there is undiagnosed carcinoma is already there, neoplasm is already there, you cannot insert copper T. So, another method of contraception is lactational amenorrhea. This comes under natural methods of contraception. So, in case of natural method, it is exclusive breastfeeding, amenorrhea develops, but the failure rate is very high. What are the emergency contraception now? What is emergency contraception? One we have already learned. What we have learned about emergency contraception, that is copper T, that can be given up to 5 days. Another thing is this levonorgestrel. Levonorgestrel can be given up within 72 hours. Why within 72 hours? Because levonorgestrel cannot act after the LH surge or per se the ovulation has already occurred. If the ovulation has already occurred, the LH surge has already occurred, after that if you are giving levonorgestrel, then it won't work, it will be a failure. So, that is why we say we have to give it within 72 hours or within 3 days. 750 mcj 12 hourly 2 doses or 1.5 mg single dose. Copper T can be given within 5 days. And COCPs can also be used as an emergency contraceptive. In that matter, what we have to give is 2 tablets twice daily for 1 day. But with this method, what is the main problem is vomiting is a problem with this method. And mifepristone can be given, mifepristone 200 mg up to 25 days of menstruation. So these are the other methods of emergency contraception. Mainly you have to remember two. One is up to 5 days copper T is given, and levonorgestrel can be given up to 72 hours. And these methods are not generally used. COCP is 2 tablets twice a day for 1 day. It method is not used since the vomiting is such a big problem that immediately the patient starts vomiting and it is washed off. This is of no use. Basically, these are the two effective contraception method, that is levonorgestrel or copper T. And surgical methods are often the permanent methods. What are the permanent methods? Tubectomy, that is female sterilization, we do using Pomeroy's or the modified Pomeroy's method. And laparoscopically also we can do, that is mini laparotomy also we can do. This is the Pomeroy's method. In Pomeroy's method, what we do is we hold the fallopian tube and check for a avascular zone in the mesosalpinx. We hold using a Ailey's tissue forceps or a Babcock forceps and hold the tube like this, and then pass a free tie at the base and cut and clamp the portion of the tube, so that one tube is here and the other portion of the tube is here. And then what happens is we bury the tube into the mesosalpinx and another part of the tube is kept open. This is how we do the Pomeroy's method. Another method is the Kronos method. In case of Kronos method, what we do is we crush the fimbrial end. We just crush this part. This part is used for ovum pickup. What we did is we had crushed this part so that the ovum pickup per se does not occur. This is how we do. Most of the times what we are following over here as well as other places is Pomeroy's or the modified Pomeroy's method. You have to learn about only modified Pomeroy's or the Pomeroy's method. And in case of vasectomy, that is male sterilization, what we practice is no scalpel vasectomy. It can be done under local anesthesia by a skilled doctor and is an OPD procedure as well. But semen examination is required, and additional contraceptive method has to be used for at least 3 months. After this, male sterilization has been done. So this is finished. So at least I need somebody to summarize whatever we have taught, so that any gaps are there we can fill it up now. So what are the natural methods of contraception? Lactational amenorrhea, abstinence, withdrawal. Another is calendar method. You know when it is going to be over. So 4 methods basically. What are the, then we come as reversible methods, permanent methods. Permanent methods are the male sterilization, female sterilization. In case of female sterilization, what method we use is Pomeroy's or the modified Pomeroy methods. Other methods are Kronos method, where we crush the fimbrial ends. Another method is Madlener, but there are many difficult steps. Better you remember only Pomeroy's and modified Pomeroy's method. Another is no scalpel vasectomy for male sterilization. Now coming to this reversible contraceptive methods. Reversible contraceptive, we can go for pills, we can go for barrier or the mechanical methods. What are the barrier or the mechanical methods are? Condom, cervical caps, diaphragms, jellies, spermicidal jellies. And for these things, now coming to the pills. Pills can be of combined oral contraceptive pills, can be progesterone only contraceptive pills. Combined oral contraceptive pills, what was the composition? 30 mcg of ethinyl estradiol plus levonorgestrel. How we advise the patient to take? From day 1 of the menstruation, if she is starting day 1 to day 5, no additional contraceptive is required. Additional 7 days. What was the mechanism of action? Yes. And for progesterone only contraceptive pills, only thickening of the cervical mucus and making the endometrium atrophic. What are the contraindications for COCPs? Cardiovascular ischemic cardiac disease, migraine with aura, diabetes with vasculopathy, uncontrolled hypertension, active liver disease, breast carcinoma. And what are the additional benefits apart from being a contraceptive, where we can use them? fibroid, AUBL. Protective factor for endometrial carcinoma, ovarian carcinoma as well as colorectal carcinoma. As well as it can be used for treatment of premenstrual symptoms. What is the specific progesterone being used for premenstrual symptoms? Drospirenone. And for hirsutism? Cyproterone acetate. What are the different generation of progesterones? Testosterone? Yes. So, and for progesterone pills, there are implants, there are IM injections, as well as what we forgot to teach is this combined pills can be given as patches, transdermal patches, as well as intravaginal rings as well. Combined estrogen plus progesterone containing patches, that is transdermal patches as well as rings. You can give them as patches as well as rings. And these implants, that is DMPA injections, implants as well as intrauterine systems comes under what? Comes under long acting reversible contraceptive methods. And what were the different criteria? WHO medical eligibility criteria 1 was there was no risk factors. You can freely give them any type of contraception. Type 2 was there were risk factors but the benefits outweigh those risk factors. 3 was the risks were more than the benefit part. And 4 is absolute contraindications. And for copper T, what are the different timings of insertion of copper T? Within 10 minutes of placental delivery, within 48 hours of delivery, after 4 to 6 weeks after delivery, 48 hours to 4 to 6 weeks we do not insert copper T, and 2 to 3 days after the menstruation is over. And what are the different complications for a copper T insertion? And there is one specific infection occurring with copper T, that is actinomyces infection. Which organism causes infection with copper T? That is actinomyces. Okay. That was all about contraception. At least broad headings, what are the different types, what are the side effects, when you should give, when you should not give, everything has been covered. And emergency contraception, up to 5 days, copper T can be given, and levonorgestrel can be given up to 72 hours or 3 days. Other methods are combined COCPs, 2 tablets in a day, twice a day, and then one problem with that method is excessive vomiting. That is why it is not preferred. Another thing is mifepristone can be given.